I want to talk more about foreign policy, but I'll ask about midterms directly because we've just seen in the Washington Post that a significant majority of Republicans that are actually running for office in the House are actually election deniers, or at least have said that publicly. What does that mean to you in how the Republican Party is potentially turning and what we're setting ourselves up for 2024, given, again, everything that you are spending your lives on right now? Pete, I'll go to you.
Well, it's all about Trump, right? It's about his dominance of the party. It's about currying favor with the king. They know that they can't say anything other than that because then they pay the price. And they know it because they've seen it happen, right? What happened to the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach him over January 6th? Gone. Lost their primaries, were forced out, decided to leave out of frustration, what have you. And the rest of them saw what happened. So they all say they agree with President Trump, former President Trump, about the election, whether they do or not, because that's the price of admission. You don't get into the party unless you say that.
Okay, so before we close, Peter, single thing that Trump accomplished over the course of his 4 years that most impressed you?
I will say this for him. He is the most transparent president we've had in modern times, which is to say that when he has motivations to do things that other presidents would never admit, he tends to admit it out loud. When he says he doesn't want a cruise boat with COVID patients to come to our shores because he doesn't want his numbers to go up, he is telling us what his real motivations is. When he tells us that he wants the Justice Department to prosecute his opponents and spare his friends, he's not pretending it's for any altruistic reason other than he just wants his friends to be spared and his opponents to be prosecuted. He, through 4 years, through Twitter and his statements and conversations with the press, was as open about his motivations and that we've ever seen. And it's remarkable because he told us all the ways he was trying to manipulate and intimidate and bend the institutions of American government to his political will, to make them his instruments of political power, whether it be the military, the Justice Department, the intelligence agencies. So we didn't have to guess. We didn't have to sit there and say, well, he says he wants to do it for this reason, but he really wants to do it for that reason, because he always said he wanted to do it for that reason.
So that's something that impressed him. That wasn't something he necessarily did that was impressive. There were certainly accomplishments over the course of the
he launched an insurrection at the United States Capitol. That was unprecedented in American history, Ian. Yes. That was something that never happened before.
Not one that you thought was a good thing.
It was impressive.
Yes.
It was impressive.
It had made an impression
He
upon
showed
you.
the incredible weakness of our institutions. He showed that people were willing to go where no one thought they would follow a leader, past the bounds of law and the Constitution. And one of the things he showed, I think, is that, not just the sort of foreign policy world, but the policy world writ large, we tend to overstate the role of policy debates in our politics. We tend to overstate the role of ideology in our politics. And, the really interesting thing about a challenge coming from the President of the United States to principles of democracy is that it shows that, these policy fights don't mean as much as we tend to think that they mean, because we care about them.